Hey everybody. Hope everyone had a great weekend and everyone's got their new week off to a great start. I wanted to talk to you briefly for a few minutes about Chattajack, right? Everyone registered for Chattajack last week. It was amazing. It sold out in 6 hours, which is incredible once again. And I just wanted to talk to you about your preparation. Um, and also about the fact that I'm not going to be there this year. A few people have reached out to me and asked me about that, and so I'll just take a second now to explain that. I'm kind of disappointed to say that I'm not going to be going to Chattajack this year, but um, my mother just turned 90 in April, and she's doing really well. She's got the mentality and the vigor and activity of a healthy 70-year-old, and she gardens every day. She still drives. She is a workhorse outside doing stuff, and I have to slow her down more than worry about her not getting any activity. Um, but she's living in the house I grew up in. It's a big house with a big yard, and she's alone. My dad died more than 40 years ago. My sister lives in the UK, and so I'm all she's got in the area. And if I'm not around to help her out with things that are beyond the scope of what a person her age can manage, then they don't get done. And she frets about it, and so I like to be around to help her out, and I see her every day to see that she's okay and to do stuff for her, and I'm certainly willing to do that 100% for everything that she's done for me, and to see that she can stay in the house as long as she wants to. Because if she'd been in a retirement home all along, she actually may not have made it this far the way things have unfolded with the pandemic. So being in her own home is a great thing, and I'm going to do everything I can to keep her there. So as long as she wants to be there. So the long and short of it is, I can't afford to cross the border or travel, even within Canada, stay in hotels, eat in restaurants, and expose myself to people like 650 of my, uh, you know, um, 650 people, racers at Chattajack that I love to see and get along great with, that I look forward to seeing each year. I can't afford to expose myself to any of these things and risk bringing COVID-19 back to my mom. And so that's basically why I'm not traveling this year, and I won't be doing any out of town races, Chattajack or anything else. So that's why I'm missing, and it's disappointing, but I will be back next year. And this is just a temporary thing, and there's things in life that are more important than racing, and family is certainly one of them. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And I wish everyone the best. I'll be thinking of you on race weekend. The reason I wanted to go live today and talk to people was simply about your preparation, about training, um, and I talk especially to those that are doing it for the first time. Um, those that have done it before know what you're getting into. It's a fantastic event. It's one of my favorites, if not my ultimate favorite. And but it's a hard race. It's going to take you between 5 and 8.5 hours, depending on your strength and the conditions that you're facing. And there's even cutoffs. Occasionally, there are people that don't make cutoffs and they get pulled off the course. So it's not an easy race, and it's certainly not a race that you can fake your preparation for. If you're well prepared and you've done your homework, you can finish it, and you can finish it strong. But if you're not well prepared, if you've missed out on your homework, if you haven't done the work that you should have done, you're risking being, not only perhaps not making the cutoff, but underperforming. And the big thing that I look at it, the big way I look at it is, if you've done your homework and you're prepared, you actually finish and you feel you're tired, but you feel really satisfied. And you look back in the race and you think, there were lots of enjoyable moments in that race. To be sure, there are moments where it's not that enjoyable, but that goes with any race. But overall, you'll look back at it and have a great sense of satisfaction, sense of accomplishment, and you'll feel good about what you've done. I've seen people who've raced underprepared, and it's a different story. They come in disappointed. They haven't had nearly as much fun on the course. And for some of them, it turns into a real ordeal. So, you can be well prepared and thrive out there, or you can be underprepared or poorly prepared and just, fighting to survive. And I would always myself choose to try to thrive rather than just, hang on and survive. Um, and so it comes down to preparing for it. How are you going to prepare for it? Well, the thing I'd recommend that everyone do is to get on a well organized, well planned, properly periodized training program that's going to take you from basically today to race day, and is going to help you be optimally prepared when it matters most, when you get to the starting line in Chattanooga. And the whether you design that program yourself, which can be very satisfying. It's a challenge, but it's sort of the ultimate in taking ownership over what you're going to do, and can be extremely rewarding. Or whether you go and get a coach to do that for you, to make a program for you, doesn't really matter. What matters is that you have this training plan, and that it has you doing the right amount of work at the right time, and the right type of work, to help you be optimally prepared when it matters most. Um, so you either do it yourself. It's a challenge, but it's possible. Or get a coach. And there's lots of great coaches out there. There's a lot of coaches out there that have experience with races of this length, if not Chattajack, other races of this length that will be willing to help you, I'm sure. Or you can turn to Paddle Monster, because that's what we do. And you can get either myself or Seychelles or Travis to write a program for you. Seychelles and I have done this race at least 10 times between us. So we can not only build a program for you that makes sense, but we can also tell you what to expect as you go paddle down the river. And if you ask Travis to do it for you, he has a different insight, but equally valid experience, because he's been done Molokai to Oahu, God knows how many times, and he's won it multiple times, and in both outrigger and on a paddleboard, and it's very comparable in length to what Chattajack is. So, it might be on different water, but the length of the effort is very similar. So any one of the three of us can get you set up with a program that will help you be well prepared on the day that matters most. So in my group is training already for a number of different events, and Chattajack among them. And so it's not too late to join us and start preparation with that group. Seychelles group is the same, and as I said, Travis has a group that's training right now too. So if you're unsure of what to do in your preparation, get a coach. It's going to make a big difference. It's going to help you prepare better. And again, the approach you should be taking is not just to survive, but to actually go out and have an experience that's going to be hard, but satisfying and enjoyable. And that's entirely possible if you have a coach. The other thing I wanted to talk about with regards to preparation for Chattajack is the value of doing some races beforehand. People talk about racing and they think that every race you do is a race that is the be all and end all, that you have to be peaked for it and you have to be rested for it and you have to go out and get a great result. And the reality is that it's impossible to do a race every weekend or every other weekend throughout the entire season and do them all well. If you try to do that, you'll end up doing them all at a mediocre level. That's just not the way our bodies work. It's just not the way even our minds work to be able to focus on, a high level performance every weekend. It's much better to have an event that is a priority event, or a couple of events that are priority events spread through the year, and then have a bunch of other events that are lower priority. And essentially what they are is training events. They're like competitive training opportunities that help you prepare for the event that you've identified as your priority. And so you go to these events and you're in a competitive environment, you're on a starting line with other people, you get a chance to practice your skills, like, getting off the start and getting into a draft train, being managing things in the draft train really well, pacing yourself, learning about the interaction of your energy systems, how much time you should be paddling aerobically, how much time anaerobically, how to know when you're reaching your limit of what you can do anaerobically and it's time to back off again. All of these things are things that you learn by experience in racing, and then you can apply in your priority event. And the other thing too is that races generally tend to be more intense than training sessions. And so, you think of using a race as a training event, it becomes a very intense, like competitive type intense training situation, training session, which again helps you with your preparation for the big event that you have down the road. And so, I'd suggest that you take advantage of whatever racing opportunities you can find, even if they're shorter in distance than Chattajack. Chattajack is a 31-mile, 50K race. And most races that you're going to do this summer, if you can find any, are going to be, 10K type races, maybe 10 miles, maybe, maybe a little longer, maybe a little shorter, but they're going to be in that range. Sort of like, an hour to an hour and a half, maybe to 2.5 hours, but they're not going to be 5 hours or more. But that's okay. You learn things in these shorter races that you can still apply to a longer race like Chattajack. Now, we are in a special year. There have been no races to this point. We're still just coming out from lockdowns during the pandemic, and it might be difficult for you to find racing opportunities compared to other years. And if that's the case, at least early in the summer, it might be the case. Maybe late in the summer, there'll be some race opportunities. But if that's the case, then I suggest that you consider one of the virtual races that are out there. We talked on Friday, I talked to you about all of the different virtual races that are out there. And we also talked about the fact that these aren't real races, so they're not going to help you with your, start line management, getting off the start well, your drafting, that type of thing. But they are going to help you with the intensity of the effort. They are going to help you learn about your pacing. They are going to help you learn about managing your energy systems. So being able to work aerobically at the highest level without going anaerobic, and then shifting into anaerobic and knowing how long you can paddle that way for before you have to back off and go aerobic again. They're going to give you an opportunity to learn these things that you might not otherwise get in just regular day-to-day training. So I'd suggest that if you don't have any real race opportunities lined up between now and race day, that you take advantage of at least one or two virtual races. And the Virtual Paddle League, which Paddle Monster is hosting, we've got, right now, we've got shorter races lined up. We've got a 5K that's been running for over a month. We've got a 2K that's been running for close to a month. And we're just today launched a 1K. Now, those races are all a little bit short for Chattajack, but on August 10th, we've got a 21K half marathon that we're launching. And that is an event that would be over 2 hours for everybody. Even the pros are going to take more than 2 hours to do that. And so that's the type of virtual event that would be really good preparation for an event like Chattajack. And as I said, in a normal year, you wouldn't consider doing that. You'd be doing a real race, but there just may not be any real races by that time. So it's something also to consider. But the big message is, the big take home is, Chattajack's a ton of fun. It's one of the best races that you will ever do. The atmosphere, the vibe there is fantastic. Ben and Kim, who organize it, do just an incredible job. They've built this event up out of virtually nothing to one of the biggest events in the world. It's amazing that so many people are so loyal to this event. They stay up past midnight on the registration night to make sure they can get in before the race sells out. They've got their fingers hovering over the enter button, and so they can get in before the race sells out. And it is just tremendous. If you've never done it before, you will not be disappointed in it. It is an experience. And the river itself, too, is beautiful. It's just a fantastic place to paddle. But it is a long race. It is a challenging race. There are conditions like headwinds and things like that crop up in the gorge that can really make it difficult. And if you're not prepared, it can be misery. But if you are prepared, it can be one of the best paddling experiences that you will ever have. So my message to you is take the fact you've entered, you've done the easy part, and now comes the hard part, the day-to-day work involved that's necessary to make your experience a good one. So don't waste the opportunity. Get out there, train, have fun, work hard, and you will be ready on race day, and you'll love it. Okay, that's all I had to say today. And yeah, I'll be watching and wishing I was there, but I'll be there in spirit. All right, all the best. I'll talk to you soon.